Welcome to Quantum Meet Spirit. These are audio chapters from my book 8. This chapter, Movement, looks at how physical movement, creativity, and change help break negative mental and emotional patterns. Chapter 7. Movement, Change. It is not a new idea that physical exercise or simply walking releases stress. Our bodies need to move, and when we mentally become stilted, the effect can affect you physically. We move into apathy and don't want to get off the couch or from under the duvet. On a deeper level, as we run through the negative thoughts, the self-limiting thoughts, it has an impact on our bodies. If we tell ourselves we are ugly, fat, not good enough, we start to embody all that and give off a negative vibrational energy. Some of the most attractive people physically are not classically beautiful, and some of the perceived classically beautiful are quite ugly when you're in their presence. These seem like obvious observations, but if we know this, as with everything, do we actually apply it day to day? If you recognize negative thought patterns, you will feel your body tense up, and that, over time, creates fatigue, illness, and just wears you down physically, as well as mentally. The antidote is sometimes just to exercise, even if you don't feel like it, and it will automatically put you in a better mood. We know this, and yet strangely we hold on to the negative thoughts as a comfort blanket, in the same way an addict clicks to his drug of choice. So once again, it is about breaking entrenched behavior or thought pattern, in this case, from a physical point of view. Notice the better vibrational feeling of exercise, and then keep it consistent. The obvious effects of walking or running in nature have a twofold impact. The surroundings serve to calm you, as well as the exercise. The idea of love your body is not narcissistic, but to take care of it and to respect it as your vehicle. If you have a Ferrari, you're not going to drive it badly or put dirty oil into it because you don't feel good. Unless you start comparing your Ferrari with someone else's newer version or different model. The point is, we are all Ferraris. Only in your head are you anything less. We don't have to approach or perceive the way we think everyone else does. The postman may see the solution to the mathematician's puzzle, and the mechanic the solution for the fisherman's problem. The idea being adopting a more polymath's way to approach learning or perception, and therefore comprehension of others and the world around us. And so, keeping an open mind. If in each century we as a species think we know everything about science and spirit, we just need to journey to the next 200 years ahead, and sometimes behind, to see that we need to keep an open mind. As forward and back in time, we may not be as smart as we thought. Thoughts to belief to create, TBC, another acronym. How do we believe such miracles of mind over matter can occur? Well, start by removing the blocking thoughts, the negative thoughts. Observe the negative thoughts, and then move to the positive. Don't focus on the negative. Just allow them to be, or you will just be blocking again, creating a kind of tension. What you resist persists. The negative stuff of addiction is feeling angst of not being able to stop, even though it is harming you. It is good to express how you feel in a group session, but not to dwell on it and allow those thoughts to become default thoughts combined with negative emotions. So the idea is that we move from one point to another in thought and continue to change. We are ever-changing and must try to accept that as part of our time here. Even as infinite beings of light or spirit, we evolve. Also, there is the literal idea of movement. We can move. We have bodies that are able to move. Sometimes the best thoughts come to us in gym or running in the park, and not sat in front of a computer. Stillness is not being inactive. It is connecting with God, and therefore we are active. But stillness with nothing, or crap TV, is dead space, which is okay, but not all the time. Change. 168 easy steps to success. I'm joking. 5 easy steps sounds much nicer. I can sort that problem much more easily and quickly. 5 reasons to, 7 steps for success, 6 good things to eat, 8 things not to do. Those articles do seem to be on the increase. All of it is useful and most likely good stuff and helpful. There are many reasons people are drawn to certain ideas and not others. It's called advertising, but more precisely, confirmation bias. This means that you seek and agree with whatever makes you feel comfortable and fits with what you believe already. The idea being that when you have a set of thoughts, your life continues in that way. So change them if you want to change your path, else your life will continue in that way. Look at all those couples, families who have the same arguments for decades, stuck in a pattern of thought. It's the same with playground group mentality. Stick together and feel stronger. Religion being the most obvious example, and even science. I believe in what I have known for years and have been taught for years by my peers, is an example of stuck-in-the-mud thinking. And yet, all the most interesting advances in everything have come from ideas that were first rejected by these confirmation-biased groups. The key I found to real success after looking at the 12 steps, many spiritual books, many psychologists, many addicts, was just to listen with an open mind. But over a very long time. Think of a glass of water as an image. If you drop clear water into a glass full of dirty water, it will become a clear glass of water over time. If you sit in a room full of people all talking about a particular subject, which ones are you going to take notice of? The ones that speak well? The pretty ones? The ones from your country, social background, your football team supporters, or all of them? You don't have to take on all the advice, but actually listen before you make the judgment not to listen. My long time of addiction would have been halved if I hadn't dismissed people that I thought didn't get my situation or understand my issue from my perspective. You can't fix a problem with the same mind that created it. Change your perspective, change your life. So when I say in my book, Gladiators of Light, a football team of angels helped me out of addiction, I'm not inferring that angels play football. I'm saying it took 168, well, a lot, of steps over a long time to realize that it was just one easy step. Listen and keep listening with an open mind. Change your perspective, change your life. There are many different ideas on how we treat and perceive addiction, depression, trauma, and we tend to treat and observe it as if it's a certain group of people. Trauma, depression can happen to anyone, and addiction can follow. Of course, it varies with individuals, but don't think you are different from an addict, a smoker, an abused victim, or just someone who gets depressed and anxious. It is, to my mind, a very common human condition, stemming a great deal from isolation. There are no 5 easy steps to fix that, or an additional 2 in the next book. It's just life, just learning from past, not dwelling in it, moving to the future, but enjoying the present. Change your perspective, what you focus on. Your very vibrational frequency will change, and so will your life. Creativity is movement. Creatives all have the stigma of being drunk manic depressives. No one will say to a doctor at the beginning of his career, "What if you fail?" You're a doctor. You can't fail. It's a great job. With artists, always the question is, what if you fail? The brain is powered by the same amount of electricity as a light bulb. This highlights the extraordinary nature of thought or mind. The conscious mind can expand a thought or an idea by association or logical progression or creative expansion to infinity. The exertion of the brain is the only limit. And in the subconscious, the same must be true, although our minds are seemingly more fluid or open to creative thoughts in this state. Perception is everything. The choice of the thought, or how we are led, or allow ourselves to be led, in that thought journey. No one likes words like addiction, anxiety, depression even. Negative self-image. That's other people, right? But essentially, this is at core of what stops creativity. The overrun mind that can't come up with creative ideas. It is simply a chain of illusions or wrong thought journeys that have led us to self-doubt, self-negate, block creative thought, or even self-destruct with depression and anxiety and addictions. a chain of thought illusions that are not logical. The mind itself sometimes creates barriers to some positive progressions of thought. This is called the negative ego, and is a learnt response, either by negative self-image, imposed by others, or one's own repeated failure. Perhaps even a survival instinct to feel a certain way, which no longer serves us, but which, through repetition, has become hardwired into our behaviour and therefore our self-view. Basically thoughts like, I'm not good enough, or I can't think of any good ideas, can't write the script, or at the lowest point of the spectrum of negative thought, I need to escape. The mind just gets too busy basically talking nonsense. Our inner monologue, as it were. The key to clearing the clutter of a busy mind is to understand that our thoughts are not always our own, especially thoughts of doubt and negativity that overrun your mind. This is the manifestation of negative ego and self-limiting thoughts you have acquired over time. A negative experience is just an experience. It doesn't have to define you now, or to constantly remind you of your failure. This is when the focus on the negative snowballs. Misery enjoys comfort, whether in the form of people judging you or you judging yourself harshly. Ultimately, this is what slowly eats away and destroys a great deal of so-called artists or creative geniuses. Creative genius? Or just a depressed person who has some talent? How did we get to this place where our minds are so chaotic and overrun? At some point, we were in pain, for whatever reason, and chose a path to alleviate that pain or survive it. We are human. We live and we make mistakes, and sometimes continue repeating our mistakes for whatever reasons. Our soul, our higher self, grows further apart from our ever-growing negative ego identity, which is full of self-loathing and anger. Observe the negative self-image. Allow it to be. Move towards a more positive image, and the creative mind opens up like a fountain. A child genius who was composing musical scores at a very young age was asked where he got his inspiration. He replied without all the imposed logic and clever rhetoric of the learnt paradigms of psychology and religion that we stuff our heads with. Very simply, he said his inspiration was like a river that flowed above his head, and he just tapped into it. Creativity doesn't have to be internal angst. It can just be a fun collaboration with whatever that universal source is flowing above our heads. Change your perspective, what you focus on, and your very vibrational frequency will change, and so will your life. Move away from the blame game. It's not fair, and sometimes it really isn't, but we can change that. We blame things outside of ourselves, like the world, our genes, our family, our situation. Our start in life was unfair, etc. The world is unfair. This creates our inner program and becomes what we believe is the norm, as it becomes what is familiar to us. Show me the 7-year-old child, and I will show you the man. Such is the power of our early programming, and that this idea has been around for some time. However, all is in our perception, and all remains in our perception. If we can change our perception, change our inner programs of thinking, change our subconscious thoughts, we will change our experience of the world. Our perception changes initially, and then the very physical elements and people in our lives will change. I'm not saying your friends will morph into someone else, but you will attract more positive and supportive people, and things will start to work for you where they didn't work before. You will move away from the negative instinctively, and it will not feel like the norm anymore. In 1925, scientists said everything is energy, which has been said in spiritual terms for much longer. Consciousness is the prime mechanism of creativity in the world we live in. Therefore, I am not a victim as I am creating things. You perceive on the conscious level, and at the subconscious level are the programs that guide that perception, and therefore our habits and behaviors. But we can always observe those thoughts or behaviors and start to readjust how we think and see them, and therefore reprogram our subconscious so it becomes the new normal for us. The day starts, and 90% is the subconscious program clicking in, programmed by our past, our family, others, or situation. So that's why we blame the outside. But we are able to change that programming. Most of the time, those negative programs, which involve self-doubt and limiting thoughts, do not support our current conscious desires or wants. These subconscious thoughts have become so familiar, we actually feel more comfortable with them than the positive thoughts we know we really want. Hence, our subconscious behavior sabotages our reality if it draws near to success or happiness. Romans 7:15. I do not understand what I do. For what I want to do, I do not do. But what I hate, I do. This sense of cognitive dissonance, or doing what you don't want to do, is familiar to addicts, and all of us in terms of following a learnt but misplaced instinct that no longer serves us. Not so much a battle of good and evil, but simply how we are constructed. And even if it is a battle of good and evil, or you think it is, you can overcome by refocusing your mind, and therefore spiritual direction too. To repent is to walk in the opposite direction you are going. It is my personal belief the two are linked. On a simple level, this is how we work as beings. The operating system needs to be updated as we change and make mistakes, and need to move forward in a different way. If we continue to move in the wrong path, as it were, that can escalate to a place where you are being led by other energies that are negative. The spiral goes both ways, up and down. But you are always in control of the next choice or step. How do we tackle this on a more day-to-day level? We need to make that comfortable, familiar feeling, the subconscious feelings, be about what is positive and not negative. The popular word currently is mindfulness, which means meditation, being present. When we are present, we're not running the subconscious program. We're observing in the present, and can, from that place, reprogram, if you like. For example, when you're thinking about negative past things or negative future, you're getting angry and creating negative emotions and behavior to sustain that thinking and attract more of the same. If you are present, you can consciously change your thoughts, and also, more naturally, just not be in those negative states. When you are present, you can still get angry. You can be angry and react. But as the eternal present moment continues, do you choose to stay there? No. Else, if you stay there, you are now angry about the past. In real terms, yes, it takes time to process emotions, but don't dwell there for years. You don't have to be a quantum scientist or a priest to get this. If you get angry about anything or anyone, past or present, or possible future, then come back to the present moment. You don't have to review your childhood, which sometimes makes it worse by review and reinforces it, as opposed to letting go. What happened, who did what. The more present you become, the more able you are to see what is possible now, and the negative will fade simply as the lesson is learnt, not a continued punishment to remind you of your failings. Wisdom is the lesson from the memory, not the memory with the associated negative emotion. Anything you struggle really hard to get may be out of reach, since the emotion of desperation is entangled with the desired result. Love it, like it, let it go, and it will come to you if it's right at that moment. It may take a short time, it may take a while. Infinite patience tends to draw immediate results. Put another way, if you discover that it can be easy or fun to get to your goal, then it is an indication you are in line with your soul and subconscious. If it is a battle, then your subconscious is most likely blocking you. If your past is filled with real trauma, that's not who you are today. Let go of the old story, create a new one, or simply reveal who you are now. Additionally, Why are there so many bad things in the world? I think we are souls in a complex biological computer system, and how we interface with the universe or the quantum is as above. If our consciousness in combination with the human life creates so many ups and downs, the collective consciousness of humanity is most likely going to do the same. I do think we can overcome much, and through our perception move on from extreme trauma. But on a global scale, there is much good and bad. Each country has its own consciousness to a certain extent. You can feel it as you land in a different country. We are beings of energy and exist in the quantum field, and can change our reality. But of course, we are also in a world of global energies, good and bad. Good and evil take place on a global stage, collective beliefs and herd mentality. So if we are in control, how do we as individuals go so far off the rails? I think it all rests in the quantum field. Choice is always ours, and that is incredibly powerful, as strongly stated in religious terms as well. The choices we make will snowball in the quantum field, attracting more of the same. And yet, I also believe there is another element to this, which is clear with slightly more examination of the quantum field. It is essentially the dimension all around us, and can be termed as the spiritual realm in which spiritual entities exist. So as much as you attract by the laws of nature, you will also attract angels to guide you, or bad spirits to mislead you, to put it simply. And all that is exactly where quantum meets spirit, in the ever-evolving understanding of that.